Hello everyone. I'm going to make a quick video in hopes that it provides some guidance and structure in how to complete the 4 stages of art criticism. So within our lesson, we talk about sort of the idea of being seeing versus looking, the idea of being objective versus subjective, and most important probably is the idea of context. So in critiquing art and working with art, we start to develop an eye for art, if that makes any sense. And what I mean by eye is we start to train our eye to see things differently and maybe see something on the surface or in front of us, but really take the time to look at it and see its potential to morph into something else or be something else, or maybe take a shot at a different angle and it changes the entire subject completely. It would change the way people kind of view that object or that scene or that person. So the 4 stages of art criticism actually help to do that. But rather than taking the image, we sort of train ourselves to explain what we see, explain the analysis, which is just as important and in art as the actual process itself. So I have in front of me an example of the 4 stages of art criticism, and I want to quickly go through it with you, give you some pointers to make sure you're putting your best foot forward. You know exactly what I'm looking for and what the 4 stages should be. So here we go. So our 4 stages of art criticism, our first one is describe. It is description. Now, you tell exactly what you see. I know that might feel awkward because it's obvious, right? It's right in front of you. But part of art is the description of visualization. So it's exactly what's in front of you. So with your project, when you pick an image that you yourself want to dissect and go through the 4 stages with, you have to actually describe what you see. So in this image, which is Dali's The Persistence of Memory, a pretty famous image, we have in the image, The Persistence of Memory by Dali. I see mountains. I see cliffs in the background that is beside a water landscape in the horizon that meets the water. So there you go. There's your mountain, the horizon that meets the water. So you are literally just describing what's in front of you. There are several clocks that look to be melting. One clock in the bottom left corner has ants crawling all over it and a dead bird in the front foreground. Also, something really important that I'm hoping that you're realizing, it's your vocabulary. So we want to make sure that we are incorporating our photography terms, our vocabulary, because we're always working within them and expanding them. So literally, as you are looking at your image, remember, you're using your artistic vocabulary and all you're doing is describing what is in front of you. I think it's probably really important to kind of decide to start at the background and then work your way forward, or maybe start at the foreground and work your way back, just making sure that you're covering the entire surface of the image. And all you're doing is you are explaining what you see in great detail. There we go. Next, this is where we have your analysis, your analyze phase. So what's really, really important here, guys, where you are going to earn all your marks is that you're actually taking that image and you are breaking it down by your elements and your principles. Okay? So in the image, The Persistence of Memory, the use of line and space is quite predominant. Again, we're working within the elements and principles, so you don't have to feel like you're making all of this up. All you have to keep in mind is that you are, in fact, choosing the elements and principles of design that we covered back in lesson 1 and where and how they are applied in the image of which you are dissecting. In terms of principles, we have harmony, and we have balance. And we talk about how it really brings to life this idea of the fantastical and unrealistic in Dali's image. So what's super important here, guys, once again, it's the detail, but you're working with the elements and the principles of design. Where are they? How are they being used in your image? So you don't have to necessarily make it up. You just have to take what you've learned and apply it to this section. Next, we have interpretation, stage 3. Now, this is what we have been discussing in our lesson, the idea of context. So this is, what is the artist trying to say? This may require a little bit of research. So, if you look at the image and you're not necessarily quite sure, you can do one of two things. You can use your best judgments based on what you see, based on the artist of which you've chosen, and you can try and imply what you think the painting is trying to articulate to your audience. Or you can look it up and actually find out the exact contents of the image itself. Or do a little bit of both, which I actually think was where you're going to get the most marks anyway. So first provide me what you think the image is trying to say, and then maybe after do some research and figure out what the artist actually was thinking, what he was or she was doing behind it. So the artist behind it in terms of message. I'll just put message for you there. Okay, and then providing that description. Remember, we are working within full paragraphs here, as much detail as possible. And our last stage is evaluation. So this is where you have the opportunity to tell me if you think it is successful or not successful. And please understand this. You are fully allowed to say it's unsuccessful. You are allowed to say, I actually don't like this image. And that is more than fine. Your mark is not reflective of whether or not you like something or don't like something. The mark comes in where it's how you tell me or why you feel it is successful or unsuccessful, right? So again, we always go back to your detail. So if you can provide me detail as to why it is successful or why it isn't, you're going to get full marks no matter what. So just saying something like, I like it, I think it's a cool picture, that's not going to cut it. Or I don't like it, I think it sucks. That's not going to cut it either. You got to tell me why. What is it about it that you feel that it's unsuccessful? Now that you've sort of taken the time to go through the context and some research, or you've put that time into really dissecting it, and again, we're really looking here. We're not just seeing. We're really practicing the art of looking at something for a longer period of time and really start to see things that maybe you wouldn't have noticed before. It's like watching a movie once, twice, 3 times. Every time you watch it, odds are you are learning something new that you didn't notice before. Same with a good book. If you read a good book or your favorite book a couple times, guaranteed every single time you're going to notice things you hadn't noticed. So take that time, really look at something, evaluate it. What are your feelings toward it? Why is it working? Why is it not? Go through your 4 stages with as much detail as possible. Full sentences, full paragraphs to the best of your ability. And again, always check in with me if you need any help, and I am more than happy to help you out with this, guys. So that's all for me. Hope this helps. Happy working.